Boston wrestling sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to a special installment of Wrestling Insiders Special Edition, where we kick off 2021 Boston wrestling style, as I'm joined by my dear friend in southwestern Connecticut, Mr. Matt Degnan. Matt, a pleasure to have you here early on before we get to the cheap plugs.
Oh, I'm sure we'll get the plugs yet again today. I believe it's is it the first plugs of 2021?
The first plugs of 2021. Yesterday, I guess you must have missed last night's Fabulous Friday night with John Cena Sr., where he was shooting on the unfortunate situations of Brody Lee and Danny Hodge, amongst other things. Johnny and I had a very interesting conversation. It is available in the archives now. Every 10 o'clock after SmackDown goes off the air, John Cena Sr.'s dome lights up in more ways than one for Fabulous Fridays. I guess even though you were blasting it across social media, you actually missed the episode.
Well, don't you usually pre-tape those plugs?
Not always. I have been getting better about doing it in the midst of the program, as it makes it just a little bit easier for me. Plus, as noted, the old foot's been dealing with the CRPS, so I'm not moving too good. I'm not feeling too good. My medicine was supposed to be in today at Target, and there was no medicine. I felt like the Sheik. I wanted my medicine. Well, not that kind of medicine, but no, I guess Target was slowed down because of the holidays. So I am in a lot of pain. My foot is a shade of pink/purple. But I continue to navigate this studio like someone that belongs in a recycling bin to try and produce fine quality professional wrestling talk and opinion for the great fans around the corner and around the world that have certainly helped grow the numbers. I have to continue to push that, Matt. After last night, I had a chance to finally look at the final numbers for December of 2020 as the year closed itself out. And I mean, just amazing. Some of the numbers, almost, if you compare December of 2019 to December of 2020, almost a 20-time increase. I mean, that's growth. That's amazing to me.
As AJ Styles would say, phenomenal. Phenomenal,
yeah. And viewership, maybe not quite as huge, but as far as the total number of hours listened to, we set a record. We set a record in a couple of different categories in December of 2020. So the hard work we're putting in, it's showing. And that makes us happy. The only problem is at the end of the day is we got a lot of bills we got to cover. And at the end of the day, there's many ways you fine folks around the corner and around the world know you can help. The Patreon is the big one, because that's less than a cup of coffee down at Starbucks down the street, where you get the early ad-free access to all of our wrestling insiders, in-studio shoot interview talk shows, plus the studio shoot interview DVD collection, plus the exclusives that we're going to have coming your way. We're going to try and do more of that. We want to try and come up with more fun things for the Patreons, because you guys really, we love everybody, but we realize everybody can't contribute like that. It's the way of the world right now. The economy sucks in 2020, 2021. But I want to try and do more with the Patreons this year. That is one of my many, 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 many goals to enhance the Boston wrestling experience. We also have the eBay store that is actually open 24/7, believe it or not. If you head on over to eBay, the link is rather lengthy. It usually is in the description box below, or you can head on over to bostonwrestling.com, click that store button. It takes you right to eBay. And let me tell you, are there some goodies in the eBay store, or are there some goodies in the eBay store, kiddo?
I mean, you see them on the set for almost every episode, so I mean, I almost want to take them home with me.
Well, we're going to check your pockets then, and your socks. Because you got some big socks. You could probably slip a couple of 8x10s in them. Well, we got a little Yandranavitsen going on. Along with that, we have the WWE T-Shirt Bundle. And what a bundle it is, available over on bostonwrestling.com. Again, the link can be found in the description box below. Forget about the WWE shop price for a WWE shirt. For the price, the regular price of that shirt, we'll give you the shirt. We'll give you a mystery autograph photo. We'll give you a WWE cup. And, which I think might be the coolest, give you an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, as our thanks to you. A shout-out from a Hall of Famer for helping keep all of these great shows on the air. I know there's a lot of work to be done. We're trying hard every day to come up with creative ways to make it happen, to make it fun. I know in wrestling it's always the in thing to try and put yourself over and put everything you do over as such a great success, but that cannot be said about the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fan Fest. That was about as much of a disaster as a disaster could be. Many thanks to those that participated. For those that ordered the VIP packages, I have a message going out to you. You may have already received it by the time this episode launches, because it's a long story, and I've already said it once, and I am mentally exhausted by this toy drive. Next year, if we do, I'm sure we'll do something, despite my anger and hatred towards toy drives right now. But it'll be very, 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 very different than what we did in 2020. I would never put myself through that kind of stress and aggravation and literally hate. Again, I turned into an angry person. I am a man that loves Christmas, but I came to hate Christmas because of this toy drive.
I saw that on multiple occasions, especially that
hate.
Especially on that one magical Saturday night, I saw the bear come out.
Can you believe that was, 4 weeks ago today?
Yeah.
Wow. Time flies, huh?
And I can't wait till it keeps getting later and later in life.
You want to push that one as deep into the background as humanly possible. But I will say this, and I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Did you watch the Wrestling Insider Special Edition episode this past Wednesday night at 10 o'clock with Jerry Saggs?
I definitely did not.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to challenge you as someone that I respect. I want you to watch it, and I want you to tell me what you think, despite your personal opinion of the person. I want to know what you actually think of the context of the episode, because I have to tell you this, is even though I lived it once, how many episodes did we tape total between November and December over those 6 weeks? I mean, dozens and dozens and dozens. So one fell into the other, one story fell into the other with one superstar to the next. I don't remember a lot of it. I'm still mentally exhausted from it, but it was actually a very good episode, and I'm challenging you to watch it. I don't know if you're going to accept my challenge.
Well, that's good for Jerry.
Well, it is good for Jerry. You know, that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's just like with our live wrestling events. You haven't really experienced the Boston Wrestling MWF craziness yet. You were part of the big live event we had last December, our final live event before the corona outbreak, and you got a small sample of the nonsense and the crazy and the fun. A lot of fun that does go along with it, but there is a lot of craziness, and there can be a lot of stress that goes along with it, dealing with certain personalities. You dealt with more kind of
nonsense.
Well, no, I'm trying to. I remember who you particularly didn't like, and I'm trying to think of the way how I describe your interactions with them. It certainly was intense or stressful.
It was nasty.
It was not nasty. No, I don't think nasty is the way you describe your interaction with the posters and the books, but that's a different story for a different time. But again, folks, it's all about you in 2021. More important, the simple things you can do cost nothing, absolutely free. The thumbs up, they always help. It's very simple. You hit that thumbs up button, and whatever the magic is that makes YouTube work, it showcases our videos off to more fans that don't know that we exist. You can subscribe to the channel. That's absolutely free. It gives you updates on all of the great shows. I think we have a minimum of 11 videos each and every week. A minimum. A bare minimum. The subscription goes a long way. And one that really helps, too, is to share the link. Share the link on your social media. That costs virtually nothing, too, other than a second of your time. I continue to believe, again, ego-free, that there are millions upon millions of fans that have no idea we exist. But I do believe once they do find us, they will like maybe not all, but some of the content that we produce, whether it be various in-studio shoot interview talk shows or these podcast reviews or some of the classic clips and so on and so forth and blah, 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 blah. So you are part of the team. You are, it was almost like that song back in the 80s, we are the world, we are the children. We're all holding hands, and we're going to grow Boston Wrestling even bigger in 2021. Because I tell you this, and this is as honest of a statement as I could possibly make. If we could grow what we're doing right now from December of 2020 to December of 2021, the way we did from December of 2019 to December of 2020, you guys will be amazed at what we can do. I've talked about my goal being trying to have a fresh, original superstar in studio for a talk show series 7 nights a week. Honestly, we could make that happen, but we need your help in order to do that. All right, we kind of got our casual, cheap plugs out of the way. Again, I know a lot of the fans right now, fingers are hurting from hitting patreon.com/Boston Wrestling to enjoy the great content after this review. But right now, let's sit back, discuss the kickoff to 2021 under the Thunderdome at Tropicana Field in Tampa, Florida. SmackDown on Fox, baby. What do we got?
SmackDown, the first SmackDown of the new year, kicked off with Universal Champion Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Paul Heyman making their way to the ring. Took about 8 minutes before anything could really get going on the show. The first 8 minutes was filled with recap videos and Roman making his very long entrance. And he didn't even start talking until 8:08, which I wasn't really a big fan of because I would rather have a show start within the first 5 minutes rather than just nonsense. But Reigns cut a promo on about how he elevates everyone around him and that he is at the top. But he was then interrupted, of course, by Kevin Owens. Owens and Reigns went back and forth for a good amount of time until KO challenged Jey Uso to a match later in the night. I thought it was a long opening to the show that seemed to drag a little bit. It was good promos, but just a little too long for me. Part of it might be that we've been hearing the same stuff from these guys for weeks. So that kind of plays into it. But I just felt like it was more of the same in the opening of SmackDown. But what did you think of the opening in the Thunderdome?
Do you think that Roman would be offended that I sit at the head of the table here when we do the podcast reviews?
Not our other good friend who's the head of the table?
I'm not quite sure who that would be.
The screensaver.
The screensaver. You lost me. You're going to have to tell me that one off the air. But
I guess you forget our little joke that we did it might be a couple months ago now. Pistol Pete.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's up in Maine right now, so he's at the head of his own table. But, I tend to like just about everything that Roman does. I tend to like just about everything that Heyman does. And I've loved everything that Jey Uso has done going back to the late summertime. So did it have kind of a slow open? Yes. Maybe Roman was battling CRPS in his slow entrance to the ring. I don't know. Maybe he was waiting for his medicine too, like I was. But I thought the material itself was effective. Wasted maybe on Kevin Owens, but what are you going to do? I'm just not a Kevin Owens guy.
Yeah, that's why. I said it was a good promo, but it's just kind of long and boring. But what are you going to do?
Now, how can it not be a bad promo, but be long and boring? It's got to be kind of one or the other, kid.
No, it could be a good promo, but it could still drag on. You know what I mean? Like, it could be a good movie, but it could still just be a little bit long.
Yeah.
You know. But
all right, well, now we have that figured out.
No. The first matchup of the night, Intercontinental Champion Big E versus Baron Corbin, ended in disqualification after Sami Zayn attacked Big E while he was about to pin Corbin. Big E was being attacked by Corbin's pals. I believe they call them the King's Knights or something like that. Some nonsense. He was being attacked by Corbin's lackeys and Sami Zayn until Apollo Crews came out to help Big E. And then, of course, it turned into a tag team match where Big E and Apollo Crews defeated Sami Zayn and Baron Corbin. Zayn was pinned after Corbin left him all by himself. No one really got over in this whole schmaz, in my opinion, and never really moved the storyline forward, just made it more confusing and all over the place. And then after that match, they announced that Big E will defend the Intercontinental Championship against Apollo Crews next Friday. This
Hold on 1 second. I'm getting a napkin. I need to wipe the sweat from my brow. I'm so excited about this. Hold on. All right,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know. This whole few segments, all over the place, and I didn't really care much for it. The only person I really cared about in this whole thing is just Big E. Everybody else I can kind of do without. Corbin's okay, but I can do without this gimmick he's been doing for a year and a half now, and they tend to do the same things. They do a one-on-one match, someone gets involved, someone comes and saves them, and then it magically turns into a tag team match over the commercial break. And it's just kind of lazy, in my opinion. But
I just wish when they do that, they'd save it for the next week. Build up that you're going to have the tag match the next week. Slow the pace down a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
people want to see it a little more instead of just giving it to them.
Yeah, as you and I have talked about, is sometimes even AEW does it too. They'll do about 3 or 4 weeks worth of booking in about 20 to 30 minutes.
Right.
And, it makes people not want to see it. And this kind of goes into part of what I was texting you about last night, about the whole show itself. But this took up, I believe we're almost in the end of the first hour by now. So, just the whole show was just nonsense. And part of this whole thing just took up way too much time and too much nonsense. But again, too much to say about nothing in the end.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but it wasn't anything that was overwhelming. The attempt to continue to push Big E to the top continues. I don't think this necessarily helped the cause. I don't think it hurt the cause, but I certainly don't think it helped. I just got a text from Marty Jannetty. Dear Lord. The Marty Jannetty and Tony Atlas battle that is going on behind the scenes, fans. I got work to do. We need Dr. David Reese to play Dr. Phil in this, but that's a different story for a different time. Anyway, back to our SmackDown review. I would love to book Baron Corbin. I think there is so much potential in Baron Corbin to do things that he hasn't done yet. I think the presentation of Baron Corbin has generally been poor since he was brought up outside of his WWE debut on television, which was winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I believe that would have been the numbered WrestleMania 32 in Dallas back in 2016. I can understand Sami Zayn, as much as I can't stand Sami Zayn, I can understand him being at commentary on this one where he just lost the Intercontinental title. I have no idea what Sami Zayn's point of view would be to run into the ring and interfere. I mean, why would he care what the end result would be between E and Corbin?
Whenever someone's on commentary, they always get involved in the match, and it was almost telegraphed that there was going to be some nonsense going on with the screwy finish with the two goons outside of the ring and then the one at the announce table for Sami. And I don't know, it was telegraphed once Sami ran in the ring, especially because the match was so short. You knew it was going to turn into some tag match because it's just too predictable at that point.
Yeah, and then you had Apollo Crews, whose photos has been on milk cartons like Glantz and Walter Hillside in recent months. He finally made his, I can't think of the last time we saw Apollo, but he made his way out to the ring for a tag team encounter with Big E and Apollo Crews against Corbin and Zayn that was rather forgettable.
Just like his United States title reign.
Well, I'll tell you this, Paul Heyman attempted to push Apollo Crews, but the powers that be did not have the patience for Apollo and Andrade and Alistair and all those guys that WWE Raw was trying to give a fresh coat of paint to and push as superstars of the future last spring were all but given up on once Paul Heyman was relieved of his duties over there. And I think that's a shame. As I've noted before, the TV presentation of Apollo Crews sometimes can be a shoulder shrug, but I think if you're someone that attends the non-televised events, a.k.a. house shows, there's much more magic in Apollo Crews on those shows than there are on television. Another perfect example of that is another man that has been on milk cartons is missing for quite some time in Bo Dallas, where the TV presentation is, you shrug your shoulders, but in person, just the small things that Bo Dallas does, I think he is exceptional, and I think there's a lot of potential inside of him to become a quote-unquote television superstar too. But as far as this tag team match goes, it was what it was, and it sets up a big Intercontinental Championship match next week on the Thunderdome, which is not going to be the SmackDown Legend show.
No, I don't know why they're doing a Raw Legend show and not a SmackDown one.
No, because USA bitched. This is going to be my educated guess. That's usually when you see those legend shows. When USA gets pissed, they love a big legend show with 40 guys and 3 of them get showcased.
And they get one night worth of ratings, and then it's still back to the usual.
And then it goes back to normal, right?
We'll move on to the next hellacious matchup between Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan as they defeated Natalya and Tamina. I didn't have much noting on this one. What meticulous notes do you have of this women's tag team match?
I really only had one word next to it, and it was awful.
And
that was my note.
And the other 2 words are who cares?
Well, it was good to see Billie Kay adding nothing to the match.
Yeah.
Tamina resurrected for, we'll probably see her again in April.
Oh,
she kind of comes and goes in that giant 1997 era Undertaker outfit that she wears.
Oh, we'll probably see her in a few weeks at the Rumble because they.
Oh, that's true too. They do have to fill the 30 spots. I forgot. Then we'll see her in April after a few months
in the Battle Royal at WrestleMania. I'll move on to the next. I don't know why they did this, but they had back-to-back women's tag team
matches. That was lost upon me too.
Which, again, was part of the reason why I sent you that text last night. Carmella and Bayley defeated SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. Carmella got the pin over Banks, which means we'll likely get another title match between the two. Again, didn't really need 2 women's tag team matches back-to-back or at all last night. Yeah. Better than the first one, but still, as you said, who cares? But I mean, this just did the show to me. Up to this point, there was still nothing I wanted to see at all. I mean, nothing appealed to me. The opening was good, but a little long. But I mean, so far there was still nothing I wanted to see in the show, and this is one of the worst SmackDowns I mean, this was an awful way to start out the year. But what did you think of this women's tag team match for the second time?
Well, it seemed like the first one was almost a centerpiece for Billie Kay, of all people. The second one, at least you were continuing and building off of programs that already began with Carmella and Sasha and Bianca and Bayley, and it wasn't very good by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, I would compare it to the British Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation from 1986 compared to the garbage in the match beforehand, so I'll give the girls that much credit.
Then in the next segment, backstage, Sonya Deville made a return while walking into the building after the commercial break. I knew a lot of people weren't expecting her back for a while, but much needed depth for a lacking women's division.
Oh, so yeah. I mean, the division's on fire now.
No, but I mean, we always talk about the lack of women. So, I mean,
at least she's a woman. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, they also need to fill that Rumble in a few weeks. Mm-hmm. So, but no, I don't have much to say. I mean, I think.
Oh, I have a lot too when you're done.
I just think when you do those matches of what did they do, career versus career or hair versus career, whatever they did, and
they couldn't make up their mind because of that home invasion that took place. It was like it was like Home Alone at Sonya Deville's house in August.
Yeah, and there wasn't all the chicanery like Kevin McAllister thought about.
Well, he did a much better job booking the finish than Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose did. Yeah, Kevin McAllister would not surrender his home.
And then I love all the people on social media. Oh, she needed time off, a mental break. It's like, why? You know, why does she need 6 months off just because of that? I mean, I know it's a crazy thing, but I mean, to take time off of work for that, I mean, people who have desk jobs go through bullshit and they don't take that much time off. I mean, it's not like she lives, you know, this luxurious lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's just, and then she comes back and everyone's shocked backstage that she's walking past. And I go, why is everybody shocked that she's coming back? I mean, it's not like she's Ronda Rousey, you know, or Charlotte Flair making the return. I mean, it's Sonya Deville. I mean,
that might be the line of the week. It's not like it was Ronda Rousey. It was just Sonya.
You know what I mean? It's just, this really epitomizes, who cares that she came back? I mean, what is she really going to do? She's going to go to the Rumble in a few weeks. She's going to declare for it. She's, you know, I don't know. I would have just had her return in the Rumble, and that would have been a better surprise than having her walk backstage and not even go out to the ring. I mean, what was the point of showing her walking out in the entranceway of the arena and not having her come out to the ring? I would have much rather seen her return in the Rumble. That would have been a little bit better than just walking backstage and wowing these plants of wrestlers that stand there and talk. Oh, God. But what are your meticulous notes on this short?
It was a return that no one was waiting for and one that no one cared about. Sonya, as we noted, lost the Loser Leaves Town match just at SummerSlam back in August, again, which highlights how stipulations in WWE matches have no credibility. If you continue to teach the fans month after month, year after year, decade after decade, that the stipulations to these matches never live up to, why bother with them? And when you do present them, the fans aren't going to believe in them, and they're not going to get engaged in them, and they're not going to draw. So they only shoot themselves in the foot. There was no need to make that pointless SummerSlam match that no one wanted to see to begin with a Loser Leaves Town match. They very easily could have had Sonya lose and then vanish from the scene for a few months. It's incredible to me that they continue to come up with bad idea after bad idea, a Loser Leaves Town match for a feud that fans didn't have a vested interest in, and then 5 months later, the person that left town is back in town. So I did not like it. I think that's insulting to your fan base. If you're going to do the gimmick, go with the gimmick.
And they already treat the fan base like idiots anyway, which, I mean, these fans are smarter than I think they've ever been with all this media stuff and knowing stuff behind the scenes. So people are getting smarter with what they know. You know what I mean? There's more stuff out there, of course, because kayfabe's not alive anymore. So what are you going to do? Next
Well,
up,
you can
we had
still treat people with the fans with respect.
Oh, yeah.
I guess is the point that should be made.
But I think part of the reason why nobody cared was in the police report, it said Mandy and Sonia were living together, and they had
house guests,
they had whatever it was. They were doing something, and then they still had the match a week after that. So, again, nonsense. But
Bill Watts would have fired them.
Yeah. Next up, we had.
That would have been the way to handle it. You know what? I don't care that your home was invaded. You're both fired for breaking kayfabe. That's why I like Bill Watts.
Well, again, it's just the fans know what's going on, and they make the fans seem like they don't know what's going on. So it's kind of a gray area of where the fans sit and where the company sits. But
Certainly, Sonya does not like her areas gray, but that's a different story for a different time.
Next up, we had the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, doing some nonsense in the ring about predictions for 2021.
Yeah, this was bottom of the barrel bad, but continue, sir.
I'm not a fan of the Street Profits. They're just too goofy and not that exciting. Gladly, they were interrupted and attacked by Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Ziggler and Roode then challenged them to a match for the SmackDown Tag titles, and they will face each other next Friday. So it looks like next Friday we have the Intercontinental Championship defended and the SmackDown Tag Team titles defended.
Big championship edition, yeah.
I can't wait. So, again, we'll go back to this bullshit segment of they were playing the drums and doing just predictions for 2021. I don't think they announced it before it happened, so I was kind of confused as to what they were doing out there. And then, just as you said, bottom of the barrel, which is awful. And this only adds to a show, as I will say yet again. We're about an hour and a half into the show, and there is still nothing good about it in terms of whole segments. I think the best part of the show was probably the opening so far, and that took a little long. So, I mean, again, just not a good show. But what did you think of the Street Profits segment?
I'll say this. Of the people that have been affected by Paul Heyman's removal as executive director of Raw, the Street Profits are another that have been affected, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think they were over-pushed on Raw. I think it was overdone on Raw. It hasn't been as bad on SmackDown, even though they have all of their little... Maybe they should make their cups blue now that they're on SmackDown, but that's just one man's thought.
I tweeted about that when they were drafted over. Yeah,
they would change the color of the cup?
Yeah, when they were drafted over to SmackDown, I said they better change their red Solo cups to blue, and then they never did, and I was disappointed.
To me, they're almost like R-Truth. I think they're kind of a fun live event gimmick. I remember we went to, it would have been an NXT house show. I think it was in Kingston, Rhode Island. And I thought, oh, what great charisma, fun way to open up the show, dancing around the crowd and whatnot. But when you see what they do on television week in, week out, when every match they have seems almost identical to the previous one, it gets old and it gets stale rather quick. That stuff they did last year with the Viking Raiders that I'm trying to forget due to our great friendship with Warbeard Hansen, Ivar. It was just mind-numbing. It was so bad. They haven't come up with material that bad for them on SmackDown, but on the flip side, they haven't really come up with anything that's any good. I would like to see Ziggler and Roode become the new SmackDown Tag Team Championship to win titles from a team that never won them to begin with. But Ziggler is one of the most outstanding athletes in WWE, and I think Robert Roode, is much better suited as a tag team wrestler than he is a singles wrestler. So we'll see what happens next week on the, I don't know if they're calling it a championship edition of SmackDown, but at least 2 titles are on the line.
The next tag team matchup, Daniel Bryan and Otis defeated Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. I was excited for everyone in this match, but Otis I didn't really like the dancing after with Daniel Bryan, Otis, and Chad Gable. I thought that was just bringing Gable and Bryan down to Otis's level of comedy, which really didn't need to be done. But
Correct.
still a good tag team match overall. I mean, the last like half hour was really the only good part of the show, but still not great. So, I mean, not really saying much about the show. That was just awful. But what did you think of this tag team matchup that I thought was one of the few bright spots?
Well, before we get there, I do have a little breaking news. The French douchebag has left the studio.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Good thing I was
Back to our regularly scheduled program. When I saw Otis and Daniel Bryan together, it was almost like one of those weight loss commercials. It was like a before and after picture. You know what I mean? But, no, actually, I thought it was a pretty good tag team match. It was a great way to hide Otis's limitations. Otis wasn't pushed as Hogan.
He just did the hot tag.
Yeah. At least I got a couple of those in there, which made me laugh. The telegraph of Chad Gable turning heel is kind of, but it is what it is. Like I said, it was an enjoyable tag team match. They obviously have nothing for Nakamura or Cesaro, so they've put them together as a tag team that has, while they're good, they really don't have much chemistry together. And they put over an Otis and Daniel Bryan and trying to get Daniel ready for the Royal Rumble and the training sessions.
Yeah, I'm not excited for what's coming for Daniel Bryan, even though he was rumored to face Roman Reigns for the Universal title at the Royal Rumble, but remains to be seen. In the main event of SmackDown, we saw Kevin Owens defeat Jey Uso. After the match, KO attacked Jey, but Jey was saved by his cousin Roman Reigns. Reigns threw Owens off the Thunderdome after he and Jey beat the shit out of Kevin. My question is, why was Roman up there, and how did he know that Kevin would be up there or eventually go up there? It makes no sense as to why he'd be up there in the first place. As soon as Kevin went to the top of not the top of the Thunderdome, but like the second level, Reigns attacked him immediately. Like Reigns was sitting up there waiting for him. And it makes no sense. How did he know Kevin was going to go up there to do a frog splash onto Jey, who was waiting on the tables below? Another thing that just makes no sense and kind of reminded me of AEW, of how some of the stuff there really makes no sense. And this is the first time we've seen the Thunderdome really incorporated into anything in terms of a match or a segment of people fighting on it or fighting through it. So, I mean, was it a good way? Kind of. Did it make sense? No, but it was all right. I liked them throwing Owens off the thing. That was kind of cool. But I mean, the match itself between Owens and Uso, we've seen that a few times already, whether it be in segments or matches itself. So wasn't really a great main event. The ending was fun, but really was kind of all over the place. But what did you think of the ending to SmackDown?
I thought the match itself was very good. I hate seeing Uso lose, where I feel he could still be ascending and climbing the ladder of success in WWE right now to get him over as a single. Long term, once Jimmy comes back, who knows what direction they're going to go in that way. They could always make Jimmy a babyface single on Raw with his lovely wife, Naomi. That remains to be seen. But it looks like Jey Uso's place is going to be putting over the top babyface contenders to get the title matches against Roman. I hate seeing Kevin Owens do the stunner. To me, it comes off like watching someone do it on an indie show. But back to the point you were trying to make about the Thunderdome, I thought it was a really creative way maybe to end the show. I thought it was different. I thought it was fun to see what it was kind of like up there for everybody. Why Roman was hiding up there, I don't know.
That's the only problem I had with it.
Off. Maybe he had spies that overheard what Kevin's game plan may have been for the match later on, and he said, you know what, just in case, I'm going to be up there in the Thunderdome waiting for them. Or maybe he wanted to pretend he was one of the television sets. I have no idea, but I like that they used it. I like the way they did it. as far as why Roman was up there, there is no logical explanation for that that they'll ever give us.
That was really the only problem I had with the ending of the show. I thought everything was good. I just need the logic behind why Roman was waiting up there. But I hope they do a segment next week where Roman said, someone told me backstage you were going to jump off and put him through the tables or something. That would make sense if you got a tip backstage because he has so much pull and push back there. But, I mean, if they don't really explain why Roman attacked Kevin Owens within 2 seconds of him being up there, I mean, doesn't really make sense. But as you said and I said, I like them incorporating the Thunderdome and doing more and seeing what it's like up there. But I thought the only good part of the show was about the last 20 to 30 minutes, and the rest of it you can almost just kind of do away with, I mean, we can get into our grades now, and I wasn't nice about this one.
All right,
but
what do we got, brother?
You'll probably be higher than me, but I gave it a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
Only thing,
stiff.
As I said, the only thing I liked was the last half hour at most of the show. Everything else was bland and boring. Nothing really wowed me or made me wanting more. I feel like just most of this we've seen the past few weeks. Just even the main event segment, as the match was good, but the amount of times we've seen it the past month or two wasn't really again. Just when you only like 1/4 of a 2-hour show, I mean, how much can you really, grade it? So I gave it a 3 out of 10.
Well, maybe sometimes the fans may wonder why our grades are so different if our opinions are so similar. I don't look at every segment as equals. Almost, you just said a minute ago, I liked 1/4 of the show. I think there are some segments that need to have more impact than others, which to me carry more weight, which is why you may be surprised that I actually gave the show a 6 out of 10.
Well,
and I'll explain why. In that I thought the opening segment was effective with the top two heels that you're trying to push in the brand right now. You have Big E on the ascend. He wasn't necessarily hurt by anything that they did, and it continued his voyage as he is set to defend the title next week. The tag team women's garbage spoke for itself. The second one, as much as I'm not a huge fan, again, it continued the movement of what they're trying to do with Carmella and Sasha and Bayley and Bianca Bel-Air. No comment on DeVille and the Street Profits garbage that was atrocious. But even with the Street Profits, as much as I thought it was absurd and wasn't anything I wanted to see, it moved the story forward with what they're trying to do as far as building up a tag title match with Ziggler and Rude. Again, I noted that the tag team match with Otis and Bryan against Nakamura and Cesaro I enjoyed. All I could think of, though, was, one of those Weight Watchers before and after commercials with Otis and Daniel Bryan. And then again, the main event, as much as I'm not really a Kevin Owens guy, I thought it was very good. I liked the unique setting of them fighting throughout the Thunderdome, which I believe is the first time that's happened. And you had your guy, you had your champion, looking strong to end the show. So those are the reasons why I went so high on it. I thought it had a good ambiance. As much as there were things on the show that I didn't care for, like the Street Profits nonsense and the DeVille return and that awful women's tag team match, there wasn't anything exceptionally bad on there that made me, because sometimes when I'm watching Raw, I mean, I'm just, my hand, it's almost like Cousin It from the Addams Family. It's ready to grab that, or is it thing, or is it it that's the hand in the Addams Family?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
You've never seen the Addams Family?
No.
Well, I'm insulted, but anyway. I think, the hand might be thing. Well, anyway, my hand sometimes is just itching to grab that remote and put something else on. I'm so bored, disgusted, or insulted by what's on my television screen.
Go ahead. That was me last night. I just thought the show was so boring up until the last half hour. They did do some stuff to further storylines, but it was just nothing that made me want to actually see it anymore. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't that good last night. And it's not a good way to start the new year off. But I guess they're going to have some championship matches next week to make up for last night.
Oh, some thrilling ones at that.
But I don't expect Big E to lose next week. But I actually do think Ziggler and Roode are going to win next week, though. I think they could. I think they could win because usually when they do the multiple championship matches in one night, we're usually in for either a mid-card title change or a tag team title change. So I think we're in store for one of those.
Street Profits have felt dead on arrival ever since they went to SmackDown.
That's why I think Ziggler and Roode are going to win. But the thing is, I mean, what other face tag team are they going to have Ziggler and Roode go against? Otis and Gable?
Maybe Otis and Bryan. Maybe they're going to...
maybe we see Otis and Gable, and then Gable turns heel, and he joins and makes a stable with Cesaro and Nakamura.
Maybe Tucker. Maybe they'll trade for him on Raw.
Well, I'm good with that one. We'll move into the viewership.
Tucker
here.
never to be seen again on Monday Night Raw.
I don't even see him with the 24/7 nonsense anymore.
Didn't they give him a haircut and a little bit of a makeover, or am I wrong?
I don't think. Maybe they cut his hair a little bit, but he still looks. He looks like a jobber.
Still looks like Tucker. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to guess the viewership for last night?
I'm certainly going to guess it was much lower than it was the week before. Last night, I'll go with New Year's night. Not a heck of a lot on TV. Not a heck of a lot
College
to do on
playoff.
New Year's. There was college football on TV. I'll go 1-9.
Wow, 1,915,000.
Yeah, I tell you.
Yeah,
I was
'cause
way off on the Christmas rating, but other than that, I'm too close.
Yeah, well, last night they had college football playoffs, and actually we got it wrong on the Raw review. The national championship game is actually the week after Legends Night.
Oh.
So they don't have anything to go against Monday night, so they might be in for a big rating on Monday night because they have the only thing they have to compete with is NBA, but NBA's viewership isn't that good, so I could see them doing a pretty solid number for Monday night.
I certainly think they need to come up with a hot angle Monday night to carry over to the following week's Raw.
Well, they have the WWE Championship match on Monday night.
I'm talking about for what they need to program a week from Monday.
Oh no, I know that, but if you end with the championship match, you could possibly it's a good way to set something up for the future, especially with having Sheamus do something, because I don't really know who else they set up something with, but I'm sure that'll be the main event.
Well, if they're going to count on anything to do with Drew McIntyre or Sheamus or Keith Lee to try and boost anything that they're doing against the national championship game, they need a lobotomy.
Well, maybe they set up a triple threat for the next week.
Oh, yeah. Now that'll do the trick.
It seems like something they do. Sheamus gets involved, disqualification, then it turns into a triple threat match. I'm telling you, I could already see it happening right in front of me.
Couple of bro kicks to Keith Lee. The Keith Lee sells like he's a beach ball, just rolling in a circle.
Oh my God, I can see it now. It just Sheamus accidentally bro kicking Drew McIntyre, and McIntyre getting angry, and Keith Lee saying he didn't get a fair shot, and triple threat match for the next week, and then
no one will care about that one either.
Yeah. And then we'll have another triple threat rematch at the Royal Rumble or some nonsense. But
I think by then they'll have the official Sheamus heel turn, and we'll have Sheamus and McIntyre for the title at the Rumble, would be my educated opinion. I do not know that as fact.
They'll either have the triple threat at the Rumble or the triple threat next week. And then I think it'll be Sheamus and McIntyre at the Rumble, though.
I don't think they can hold off on the triple threat on free TV for that long. They don't have the patience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we've hit the dead silence mode of the program. I guess that means you have no more news and notes.
I added them all into the
You incorporated in. You're getting better about that. I like that. All right, wrestling fans, we are glad you joined us. We have a big week ahead in the world of Boston wrestling. Don't forget this Tuesday night, 10 p.m., it is the return of the Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, right after our review of Monday Night Raw. Wednesday night at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW are off your television screens. On Boston Wrestling, Wrestling Insiders, we have the return of Native American Tatanka, fresh off of the Raw Legends Night program. Next Thursday, as always, at 9 p.m., Matt and I will discuss AEW Dynamite and WWE NXT on the USA Network, followed by the man that the party never stops with Marty Jannetty. Party with Marty. There is a lot of tension between he and Tony Atlas right now that we need to get to the bottom of in 2021, but Marty will share his one-of-a-kind story next Thursday at 10. And then, of course, after next week's not-so-championship edition of SmackDown, we'll be joined by the man that Margot Ouellette has the feels for, John Cena Sr., for Fabulous Fridays on Wrestling Insiders. If you want early ad-free access to all of the cool stuff we're doing, if you want full-length studio shoot interview DVDs, if you want Patreon exclusive access, there's only one place to be. Matt, where is it, brother?
I don't know.
Well, it's patreon.com/Boston.
You give so
Wrestling.
many plugs. I don't know which one you're talking about.
Well, if you haven't remembered the Patreon link by now, I'm a little disappointed, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I don't know how you get all these. I believe you have them written down. I'm not 100%, but I mean, I think they might be just. I don't know if they're written on your hand or what.
No. Actually, I do not have one plug or note on my SmackDown review sheet of paper. None.
I don't know.
Zero.
I don't know how you
Zilch,
remember
nada.
it.
Well, I guess we've been doing it for so long now, they're kind of secondhand to me. But I'll say this. Have you enjoyed the Welcome to 2021 commercial that we produced last week? Well, I'm going to guess you missed that one. Is you still thinking about it? You have no idea what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to find my gym shirt right now. I lost it.
Then yeah, I don't know how you couldn't possibly answer that question as you look for a gym shirt.
Well,
Have you seen
you
the
give
commercial?
so many plugs, you throw me off guard.
Have you seen the commercial? You can answer the question while you look for the T-shirt.
I just said something.
Oh, what did you? The microphone didn't pick it up. Was that yes or no?
I don't know what you asked. The mic out for my end too.
Have you seen the Welcome to 2021 commercial we made?
No, I have not.
Well,
Did you put it? Did you social media?
it is everywhere right now. So I want you to, maybe the easiest way for you to access it would be on the front page on the YouTube channel. I'm anxious for your thoughts on the Welcome to 2021 commercial, as well as the great fans. And we have, for those that enjoy the wonderful montages that sometimes play behind us as we talk on these talk shows, we have our winter 2021 background debuting, as we certainly can't have the Christmas one with the lights in the background up. So we have a nice little winter montage for a couple of months, plus we have our Welcome to 2021 commercials. So I've certainly been busy here at MWF Studios. I was here on Christmas Eve. I was here on Christmas Day. I was here on New Year's Eve. I was here on New Year's Day.
That was your present.
I don't know if I'd call it a present, but, you know, I am always willing to dedicate my time to the great fans, as long as the great fans show us a little bit of love in return. And when I saw those December of 2020 number statistics, I said, you know what, these folks only deserve the best from us. Even Larson.
Well, sometimes he even misbehaves, but we still love him.
Well, that's why you have the hammer on the
Or the wrench.
for the. Is that what it is? Or yeah, it is a wrench. You're right. It's not a hammer, but you have the authority to kick ass and take no prisoners during the live premiere. Now, who knows? Maybe as 2021 continues, we may grant moderation to some of the other great superfans. I know where Slick Rick has contributed so much to the show. Maybe he's next in line. I cannot confirm that, but you never know.
Slick Rick does a good job of the moderating, and I believe his not so new house anymore since it moved in a little.
No, he's been there a few weeks now, so it's still relatively new to him, I guess, but it could be an old home. I don't know. But I also know that I hate to give away scoops that may or may not happen. But again, I had a New Year's Day interaction with the man only known as Glance. Will we see Glance return in 2021? We need Glance. Walter Hillside is still missing.
I wouldn't put too much stock in that, but
you don't think we'll see the return of Glance?
Just him talking to you is a surprise in of itself. But I mean,
Glance, I tell you, much like Slick Rick, is a man with ideas that helped what we did in 2020. Most people, when they go the vanishing routine, I have a deep hatred for them. Sometimes I wish them death, but that's just how I am.
Few people.
But where Glance gave so much in 2020, it was almost impossible for me to be mad at him. We need Glance in 2021. Glance, we're sending you the link. Everyone is looking for you, even during the premieres. They say, "Where is Glance?"
I got my own manhunt of my own going on right now.
You have your own manhood?
Manhunt.
Manhunt? Well, what the hell are you talking about? Oh, I see what you mean. You're looking for Angelo.
I'm still looking. Even though he only lives about a minute down the street, I'm still looking for him.
And if anyone has seen about a 6'3", 350-pound individual named Walter Hillside in the Saugus, Lynn, Revere, Massachusetts area, I'm also looking for Walter. I don't know where he vanished to. He hasn't even, there have been no signs of Walter on social media since the late spring. I don't know what happened to him.
Maybe we should
I've
start
called, I've texted, I've Facebooked. I wrote him a physical snail mail letter to try and get it to interact with him. I hope he's okay. I hate to say it. I checked the obituary. I was that worried that something might have happened to Wally Hillside, one of the fabrics of the Millennium Wrestling Federation.
We're going to have to start putting up some posters around town looking for all the people that are missing.
Well, it'll give Wim something to do, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And he'd hang the posters upside down, but that's a different story for a different time with Wim.
He's still looking for something of his own.
He is. He doesn't have time for Glance and Walter Hillside with what he's looking for right now. All right, wrestling fans, we've gone off the rails again. We ask you for your support. A thumbs up would be awesome. Subscribing to the YouTube for free would be awesome. Sharing links to all of our shows as they happen would be awesome. Tuning in next week to not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 in-studio shoot interview would be awesome. Joining the Patreon for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks would be awesome at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Granted, Christmas has come and gone, but there's always birthdays. There's always man caves being built. We got great merchandise over in the eBay store. And, of course, if you're looking for some new swag, we have that great WWE T-Shirt Bundle over on BostonWrestling.com. Links to all of these fantastic things can be found in the comment section below. For my dear, close, longtime personal friend of a year and a half, Mr. Matt Sacco Degnan himself, I am Dan Marati. We'll be back with our next review program Tuesday night at 9 o'clock when we break down Raw Legends Night prior to being joined in studio by the chicken wing lovin' Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Until we speak again, folks, enjoy the remainder of your holiday weekend, if you want to call it that. Be healthy, be safe, and don't be a scumbag and drink and drive. Good night.